Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is your boy DJ McCree, and today we're going to be talking about Cyclops. I'm doing this plugin particularly for a friend of mine, and he is showed interest in this plugin, so I want to teach him and y'all on how to use this because this plugin is awesome. All right, just quick things about Cyclops. Cyclops basically is a plugin that was designed for dubstep, but can be used more than dubstep. It is a heavy bass and lead plugin. And I think I've already said add a subtractive, but you can. The key thing about it is basically you're able to automate within the plugin, which I think I've already said as well. And in these different settings right here, this, and this, and this. This plugin in particular has only two oscillators and 5 waveforms. That sounds like not much, but rest assured, that's a whole lot. Because the simpler a plugin is, easier it is to learn, the more you'll use it, obviously, the more you'll achieve a sound, and the more you will change music in general. Because that's all the goal is basically when you're making music, is to basically make music that you like, the way you want to hear it, the best way that you can make it, and possibly change the game. Okay. Alright. Now, within this oscillator, you have 3 parameters, which change through each and every one of the waveforms. What doesn't change is the detune, which affects basically the semitone and the fine. That's what this detune does in this particular plugin. Usually detune does something different, like it acts as like the unison, which the unison basically is phase cancellation, adding, subtracting voices, which is considered the subtractive side of additive subtractive synthesizing. And then you have the octave, where you can change from -1 to 0 to +1. Okay, alright. So basically, the first waveform is saw regimen. As you can see, this is a very heavy graphics plugin where you can actually see what you're doing. And super basically is adding and subtracting stereo. So you're adding more stereo, as you can see with the little guys there, little robot guys. And 1 looks like 5. I'm going to set it back. And you can click on these parameters right here, or any of these knobs, anywhere, any knob, anywhere, by resetting them by double clicking on them, double left clicking on them. Okay. So, you know, different parameters, which affects. Let me turn this off. Turn the filters off real quick. And I'm going to go to this parameter only. This, we're going to talk about later. Yeah, so. Stab. It's cool as hell. And digitize. As you see, sounds very digital. This plugin sounds great too. I hate to say like analog versus like software and blah blah blah, but sounds just as good as anything. Great sound. All those is but words and suggestive terms. Just like when somebody says to make a warm sound. And I'd be like, what is warm? What the hell is warm? And then I add more mid. And they'd be like, that's not what I meant. But that's a totally different subject in its own. Thank you. And thank you, Seamless, for that video, too. Because I really do not like that. Okay. And you have analog sync, which has saw, saw, super saw, and square, master slave, then raw, fixed frequency, sync mix. And sync mix basically goes from master to slave, sync frequency, pulse wave. I recommend that you have headphones on as well, because you can actually hear a lot of this stuff. And it'll get you into this plugin a lot more too. Alright. FM. It's kind of harsh. Let me turn the volume on. And that's the master volume knob right here, as you see. And the more you go on this, you can see it actually tells you at this little help screen to tell you what that is. FX knobs. Hey, anyway, alright. I'm going to adjust that one time. Okay, that's effects. Transformer. Real quick, Transformer is probably one of the more complex waveform settings in the oscillator. And what I mean by complex, you can do things like this by clicking on the actual sound, the actual waveform. You can actually load in a new waveform. Make sure that your waveforms are no more than like 3 words or something like that. Because if you load like a whole entire song and then you're trying to do something on the transformer, it's going to take forever. Might crash. I don't know. I haven't tried to load anything crazy big. And this says Wobble Bass. So is it a Wobble Bass? No. No sound. Oh my gosh. Why am I freaking out? It doesn't do anything. And that's because you have to mess with the position parameter. Which off top, you know. Let me actually play something real quick. You can hear it as I was going left to right. It was saying Wobble Bass. That's all it is, basically. And you can format it. What you need? Alright, we went over position, and you can granularize it. Yeah, and that's cool. And I'm actually gonna use that shit. Okay, and phase dresser. Which is cool as well. Go back to transform. I'm using transformer because transformer in its own, as I move up to the microphone, transformer in itself, it actually, when you use the different self automations, it actually sounds crazy to me. And I do a lot of vocal basses, and you don't necessarily have to do vocal basses as well this particular way because of this. As we go over here to filters, going to filters, first off you got to click on that and make sure that it's on. Filter, there's several filters: high pass, band pass, low pass, cone, ripple. And you have out. Alright, I'm going to go solid regimen. But now, going to filters. All this is doing is affecting the frequency on the equalizer band in different ways. And yeah, cut off, basically, where you can adjust it. You see what cutoff does. Resonance, which adds higher frequencies or raises the frequency in its in the multiband. And dry wet, which if it's dry, no. If it is dry, it's no effect. When it's wet, the effect is active. And and more or less when you go through the left or right on the parameter, depending on how you set it. Okay. You also can set the value, the vowel. So if you have it on C, well, let me go so. It makes the that vowel. Okay. So that pretty much covers that. Now the good stuff, the automation. Go into transform again. Okay, so how do you automate? It's quite simple. Now, you can choose first. We're going to talk about the wobble knob. The wobble knob has different frequency waveforms that affects the frequencies, adding, multiplying it depending on how far it is. Okay, so what does that mean to you? Okay, when you do this, which this affects right now, people are going to be like, how would you see? How would you know what you're going to automate? If I want to automate just the grain, I will go to, let me see. Make sure you're in this screen, by the way. You go to wobble amount. Make sure if you want to use the wobble knob, which is what we're going to do. We're going to use the wobble knob. You go right here to wobble amount, which has wobble amount up alone. Alright. I'm going to select it. As you see, the light activates. What you want to be careful of is how much of the parameter you have. Because having it real high, real low, it does different things. It's going to communicate or automate different ways. But we're going to talk about automating it in general. You press record, and record brings you to this screen, which is the graphic screen. Okay. You can also access this screen right here, which is the tape. The tape means automation. And right now it's on wobble. It already has automation already there. By default it does. You can press X, which gets rid of the whole entire automation. And you can draw it in using a pencil, which is more accurate, or a cone, which is less accurate, but depending on what type of accuracy you are trying to achieve. But, however, you can record within the plugin. All you have to do is arm it and press a key, and it will start recording. Okay, next question is probably going to be, okay, you're just recording, you're not recording anything. And the reason why is this. Once you press the key, you have to move it. Now, your next question is like, okay, so I recorded it, I did it this way, or I drew it in, by pressing the key, is that activates record once again. What am I gonna do? It's not playing now. It's not playing the wobble amount. You gotta press the play button. It's right there. Okay, now your next question will probably be, now that I have that, how do I change these? Which I think I might have already covered that. But I've recorded, by this time I've recorded this dang video probably five times already. I messed up, or it was just too long. Now, you change this by left clicking on this right here and going up and down. If you see this is the, and you're going up on the cursor, and it's like you think it's not working. It's not working. The sine wave is the last one, so you got to go down. And let's hear how. And I'm pretty sure these snowflakes mean white form, white noise. Oops, white noise. Not much. You can actually go and set these individually, or you can roll the dice. I like rolling the dice. When you roll the dice, you get it automatically generates random frequency waveforms within the wobble knob. And you can hear it. Okay. Your next part question is like, yeah, okay, I like this, but it's too slow. On this screen right here where it says length, you can choose a shorter length or a long length. The lower you go, or if you go down, the longer it's going to be. Or slower it's going to be. The length is going to be. So that means you got to either draw your automation in slow, or you got to record it as fast as possible, or you can just set it to fast. I'm going to add... Alright. Now we got that out of the way, I'm going to add another... I'm just going to add something to the position so it goes randomly crazy. Basically, when you see it, when this is red, and as you can see it moving now. With the wobble amount. Because of the frequencies. You're going to see that it actually is red. That's because it's inverse. Experiment. By all means, just experiment with that. Also, you'll see this right here. This is the amount. Basically, you have an A to B. And you might not want to do the same thing on B as in A. Which is cool as hell. You might want to inverse. And really go crazy. So basically, you can automate A and B. So how you automate that is the same way. You just press a key on your either your MIDI keyboard or something that's MIDI, and that will start the recording. But you have to actually move the knob. So here we go. Yeah, I do that from time to time. Messing up, it's cool. But yeah, and then obviously when you want to play it, you press play. You hit the play button and it'll show up green. All right. Now that we actually talked about the automation, let's talk about. Okay, no. Now say you don't want to affect the frequency and add extra frequency waveforms to the actual sound. Maybe you just want the sound to be automated and go up and down. How would you do that? And I think I'm already in here. You go to sound, the sound automation part, which is the automation option, and you select sound, the sound automation. Now, I'm not going to record, I'm just going to use this. But yeah, you can go right here and set the sound. And set the automation on sound. This is going to affect it it's going to affect it a different way from the wobble knob. And this is how it's going to sound. Oops. Once again, I failed fished. Gotta press play. Now, okay, it's automating this, but it's not multiplying anything or whatever. Also, one thing you don't have to worry about, seeing that it self-automates, it will automatically sync to your tempo. So, tread, no, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Okay, now that we got that out the way, alright, you can add effects, which, you know, which one? Alright, there we go. This is the effects. To add different effects on different levels, you can add up to 4 effects per area. These parameters right here. So you can add phase, chorus, delay, reverb, different reverbs, and you can add these effects: scratch, final, pinch up, loop. You can even gate it. You can even gate the sound. Let me go ahead and do a gate sound real quick. I don't care about gates. But you can also change the speed of the gate and the actual. Okay. But yeah. Alright, the last section I want to talk about basically is this, well, the last couple of sections. You can add distortion. You have different distortions. And the further to the right it is, the more distortion it will have to the left. So that's wet dry. This is the wet dry knob. And yeah, you can also use the sub oscillator, which adds more sub bass, a low humming sub bass, which gives you your actual sound. If it's missing low end, yeah, because I was about to say bottom, that would sound like that's a buzzword. You can add more lower end to your sound. Stereo, basically, what stereo does is what it says, stereo spread. I think to the right though. It's kind of hard to tell with this sound I just made, but basically with this stereo sound, you are. That's mono. No, this is stereo. The more you go to the right, to move the parameter to the right, is the wetter it is, and then dry. That's basically it. Same thing with bass. The more you have it, this is wet, this is dry. Okay. Wet, dry. Glide is basically portamento or whatever, however you want to call it. And the more you add, you know, once this is dry, there's no glide, and this is wet. Probably ain't gonna be able to hear if I have it all the way there. By default, this is a legato plugin. To my knowledge, I've never played any fifths, sevenths on this. I never tried because I'm making basses anyways. But also, you have velocity switch where basically you apply the velocity from your keyboard or not. You can turn it off and it will have no velocity. And you can affect the release. And attack. And the more you get the picture. You get the picture, guys. You get the picture. Okay, I think I didn't talk about this, and unless I did it in a different recording. But if I'm just gonna go over it again. Make sure that you do have the that you when you're making a sound that you're actually on this setting right here. This setting will basically is kind of a great default way of looking at the actual sound, because the further you go down in here, the more advanced it will be. Right now, this is saying that this oscillator is the only one that's playing. Because if I go to the right, is this, which is this. That's actually that is a cool ass sound. Hey, I'm gonna have to say that. I wasn't playing. But anyways, I'm going to go. But it's saying that basically this oscillator is playing now. And this is basically saying how it's being routed, how the sound is being routed. So if you actually have it on a mix and you have it pointing up, it's basically playing both oscillators, and it's routing to the sound. So if you don't have this on, you won't hear it. And also you gotta be if you don't want distortion or whatever, you can turn it off, but I'm leaving the distortion on. Anywho, this is it, and through the different ones you can see how it's routed differently. There's actually one where it's already split. The different oscillators are split, and you can do all kinds of craziness through that. And this one, it's basically it's allowing you to double distort, as you see the distortion options inside of this how you select how it's routing. This is basically routing right here. Okay. And I think that's basically it. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. If I did, just let me know, and I'll try to straighten out the best way I can in the next video when I really talk about like making a certain sound or whatever. But yeah, like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you. This is DJ McCree, and I'm out.